All right, Mark Deering here with Remax. We've got Cody Sovis with us on the video today, and he is the director of Iceman. Say hi to everybody, Cody.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it kind of bounces back and forth. So usually we have somebody next to us and we're talking. So the voice activates you shooting on there for a second. So he was nice enough to say that he'd join us and do a little talking about Iceman. Let's jump right into it. Last year was the 30th year. Crazy giant race. I kind of want to talk a little bit about what Iceman is for those. It's got to be very few selected that don't know what it is. But why don't you tell us a little bit about what Iceman is?
Well, Iceman is it's the largest point-to-point mountain bike race in North America. We see about 5,000 riders every year. The majority of those take on between 28 and 31.25 miles between Kalkaska and Traverse City. One of the very popular emails I got post-race was everybody saying that the course was substantially longer than advertised on our Instagram bio. So we're gonna have to update that a little bit more closely. But there's also the Slush Cup, which is a really fun 8-mile race. That's a little bit more accessible for beginners, or it's also for a lot of people that maybe have to chase family members too that are racing the long one. And then we also have the Snow Cone, which is by far the most adorable event of the day for kids. Most of them are either on like a balance bike or pretty young, and that's always a pretty good time too.
Yeah, that was really cool this year. They came through. This is the first year I haven't raced in like 7 years, so I saw from a different perspective this year. So I'm not sure normally when the snow cones guys and girls come through, but that was cool to see. Just the faces in the crowd. I think the crowd was as crazy for those guys as they were for the pros coming through. It was pretty
I
cool.
believe it. Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah, the Iceman race, it's up in Traverse City, like he had mentioned, and I call it like the Super Bowl. I call it like the Super Bowl of mountain bike racing. It's like all of us look forward to it. There's a ton of us who put our training program around to make sure we're peaking right at that time of the year. We've on our team, our Remax team, we've got beginners all the way up to advanced, I would say, and it's a good event for everybody. And it's just like our year-end party. That's so fun. The big part that's always crazy is the weather, right? So you either get 50 degrees and you're in shorts and it's sunny out, or a little mix of both.
Yeah, and this year I I hate to say it, but I just had predicted that it was going to be pretty crazy weather, and unfortunately, it was one of the rare times I was right about something. And we just had sort of the perfect storm of rain most of the week. I think there was one day that it wasn't drizzling, and then we had snow the 2 previous nights, but the ground wasn't frozen. So basically, it basically gave wet ground 48 hours to absorb even more snow.
Yeah.
As that sort of melted and softened up. So it was definitely challenging conditions, but coming from northern Michigan, the majority of the locals weren't surprised. They're not surprised by anything that they see in early November for a bike race or for anything. So I think I was really happy that the majority of people showed up and gave it a shot anyway. And if you were one of the riders that decided to sleep in, have a coffee, and then just come heckle at the finish, I don't blame you either.
Yeah, it was crazy. I don't know if that previous year was worse. I keep hearing different people. I wasn't on the course this year. That was it. 16 was 16. Have you heard?
14 was the really, really rough
Oh yeah, yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah.
That
That's what it
was
was.
a similar situation, and that year it rained every day all week leading into the race. And we were really lucky. Most of our soil is sand. We can take a ton of rain and you can head out and have no impact on the trails. You can't even tell. But that much saturation, it just doesn't clear fast enough. And you mix in some softer logging roads, and 14 was pretty crazy. I think from what I heard and based on just people that I talked to, most people said 14 was worse on equipment. This past year, 2019 might go down more as a little bit tougher on the rider, just cold, wet, and those types of things.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna share some screen shares here real quick and kind of talk through some of what's out there. I kind of wanted to also talk about basically the setup. I mean, I've always kind of wanted to hear like the setup for a big event like this. I mean, I'd imagine like Monday of the week, you probably take a week off or two, but I'd imagine right back in December, it's back at it.
Yeah, well, the kind of the joke with the team, everybody that helps out with the race was the week after. Everybody's asking you, "Aren't you glad Iceman's over?" Or Iceman's never over. We're thinking about next year, before we're even done with that year's event. Honestly, you just have to have your eyes down the road a little bit. But yeah, the planning, the discussion, we're talking about logos and merch and getting all of the approval from all of the different organizations and government bodies that are involved. I mean, the next week or 2 weeks after, we had a follow-up meeting with the village of Kalkaska a week later. We've been out there a couple of times already. We went out, especially this year, to thank them for all of their help moving the start to the airport for this year, which it was just such a blast to be able to go to the airport, and they made us a parking lot. They gave us kind of carte blanche to do whatever we wanted as far as the start circuit went. So we're always thinking ahead, and honestly, race day is the easiest day of the whole show.
Everything's already set up and ready to go.
Once those waves start, there's only so much you can do anyway. And at that point, we're in the hands of all of our great USA Cycling race officials. We're in the hands of all of our volunteers that are managing the start and finish venues. And we're in the hands of the famous Newton timing folks to make sure we're keeping track of everybody. Oh, yep. We got a dog barking. Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. Yeah, kind of like from the race perspective too. I mean, you show up to the race line and it's like, hey, if all the preparation's ready or it's not, it is what it is. You're there, and it just kind of goes that it's going to go whatever way it's going to go that day.
Yeah, it was. Sorry, Manfred just spotted the post. Manfred has been a vital team member for Iceman because he's my excuse to get out of doing things. That's how I get to go home earlier. So I gotta let the dog out.
So it's good to have a dog, is what you're saying.
He's helpful. He's more useful in that respect than as a guard dog.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying about as a racer. That was always my thing. It was like just a relief to get to the line, and that's the same thing. That's kind of as a race director. Like once we get to Kalkaska on race day, we're good to go.
Sure. Hey, so I'm going to flip over some other slides here. I think I'm sharing screens right now. So I got Steve Brown in this shot. This is one of the pictures we grabbed from you. So he's the founder. He's the guy. He's the man. 30 years in the running, and he's. I just heard from you 10 minutes ago. That he basically it might be entering his first Iceman. Well, not his first, but maybe a Iceman race the 31st year next year.
Yeah, and in the transition of him kind of handing over the race, I think even he was surprised how much everyone around him stepped up and how many different of the roles that he had played for the past 30 years other people were able to take on and run with. So he was actually hoping to race this year. Unfortunately, he got sick about a month out and just never really kind of started feeling better. So he kind of bagged it. He had a pretty entertaining cough, and I got to spend about 9 hours in the car with him at one point. So I can attest that he was really quite sick. He wasn't just bailing on the weather.
All right, he wasn't faking
Yeah,
it.
he wasn't faking it. But yeah, he's still, we're calling him the event director, and at the end of the day, Steve is very much Iceman. Throughout the process this year, there was an awful lot of times people would ask me something and I would answer, and then all eyes would turn immediately to Steve to make sure if I was right. Which, to be honest, I really have just appreciated his support and his kind of mentorship about keeping it all in perspective. It's just so many moving pieces, and it's so many people. But at the end of the day, his mantra has always been, it's just a bike race. And,
Yeah, no.
you know, as chaotic as we might feel it is, or as hectic as we might experience it, somehow on the racer's side, it always looks like everything went smooth and nothing fell through the cracks. So you just got to keep smiling, keep it all in perspective. And Steve's been able to do that for 30 years, which is amazing.
Yeah, I love that. I love that he keeps it simple like that, and that's, what a good leader is going to do, right? And
yeah, absolutely.
I love the fact that you do have big shoes to fill, to help with that. And I've known you just for a little bit, over the last year or so, mostly this way through digital. But no, I think you're going to do great helping out and doing what you do. But yeah, he's definitely the Iceman. So let's talk a little bit about, I got some photos here from Rob Meendering. He is our local favorite photographer, does an awesome job out there on the course. And he got right into some action here. He was at Woodchip Hill. I was there at the same time as him. What a riot. That was the first time that I had a chance to walk out to Woodchip Hill and watch the pros come through. And that was crazy. That was really exciting.
It's a heck of a show. The ability, and I think as long as people know that it's not that far of a walk from Timber Ridge to get out to Woodchip and to get over to Icebreaker, the kind of the last two climbs. It is so cool not only seeing the pro riders, but experiencing it with all of your friends. And it gets just a little bit more rowdy out there, it's great.
Yeah.
It also, the other part of it too, I think, is it is cool to put what these riders are doing in perspective compared to some amateurs. You see, and I very much when I was racing the pro races, it was so eye-opening to see those pros go up a hill, and they're so smooth and they're so powerful that you can't even tell they're going up a hill. They pedal the exact same way, whether they're going up 20% on wood chip with, sandy, loose, whatever, or they're going 25 miles an hour on Sand Lakes Road. They look the exact same.
Yeah.
And to be able to go out and see them at kind of those decisive moments of the race, it's pretty cool that it's only a 3 or 4 minute walk from the edge of the property. So
yeah, it was
a cool opportunity for people.
Oh man, it's to go out there and, like you say, to watch, and like you're saying, to watch, it's Alexi, right? That's how you say
Yep.
Yep. So Alexi, to watch Alexi go through there, I literally left the GoPro going because of the gap, and I'm like, okay, to have that type of gap at this type of level at this, and it's just, he went up that thing like it was downhill. I mean, he was cranking up that hill. And I'll put the video. I've got a video of that, the pros coming through at Woodchip Hill. I'll put that in one of the YouTube link and or the blog. But that was insane to watch. I mean, we were all looking at each other like, where's the rest of the field? What's going on? And then some of our local favorites, like Matt Acker, came through, and we got a picture of him coming up here. Shoot, I'll skip right over to it unless I just missed it. But yeah, he came through flying. Looking really good. He just did 500 miles a couple weeks before, and some long ride he did, but he still had fresh enough legs. I mean, just, you can kind of tell by that picture that Wood Chip Hill, it's just electric out there. I mean, it's the energy and the screaming and whatnot. It's just fun to watch.
Yeah, and back when I raced, feels like a long time ago now, but that was honestly the best feeling on a bike was getting to. For me, it wasn't wood chip so much. It was getting to Icebreaker, because at the top of that hill, it's it's a couple minutes and everything's over for the year, and to get to that hill and people start yelling your name, and I totally admit to backing off for about a minute before that every year, so I could go off and actually look like I had a little bit more in the tank than I actually did. And
I'm a camera. I'm the guy too that knows where my friends are and stuff, and I always amp it up right about
you gotta plan ahead. We're all doing it to some degree, but and back as far back as I was racing, I wasn't worried about losing 10 seconds. You know what I mean?
Right.
It was 10 seconds that were more than worth it.
Yep.
The whole finish venue, that's it is what it is because of how it's designed, and it helps to keep people to stick around, and it makes the Bissell celebration zone the party that it is. And as a racer, I never realized just how much work and how much thought went into the design of the finishing chute, of all of the banners, of where the vendors end up. And it's a weeks long process to physically make it happen, but it's something that we're thinking about now. It's something that we think about for months and months ahead of time to really make it the best experience that we can.
Oh, I got to tell you, from the race team, we've been able to do a race team spot. Now, this is our third or fourth year where we've actually been able to get a team spot. And oh my gosh, I mean, I keep saying the word energy and electric, whatever, because that's the only words I can think of that describe it. But I mean, so you've got 5,000 racers. That each person's bringing a friend or two. And they're all hanging out in this area, no matter what the weather, dressed for the weather. You got fire pits going, you got beers, you got grills, the prep that goes into this, we all appreciate so much. I mean, there's people, I'm one of them, I would say, from early years. I mean, there's people who just come to this and say, I got to do this. I got to do this next year, or I got to, just because of what you see at the celebration zone. It's insane.
That was totally my experience too. When my brother and I started sort of get back into mountain biking, I think it was like 2011, something like that. We came and watched the finish and yelled and cheered on Icebreaker for a really long time, and pushed some of the last waves up the last hill and hung around at the celebration. And we had been cycling that year, but and racing a little bit, but we weren't totally committed. And it was that day we said, well, we should start doing this thing. And we were just as hooked as everybody else. And it's as a cyclist in Traverse City, it doesn't just become the race; it's a part of the culture year round.
Oh yeah, I mean, you guys up there in Traverse City. We've got a very nice community. I'm down here in Grand Rapids, awesome trails, everything like that. But you guys have this, it's obviously a big part of it's Iceman and whatnot, but there's like that Norte team, like there's what they're doing with the kids and all that type of stuff. I mean, it's you guys have quite the cycling community up there.
It is. There are, a half a dozen squads around here, just some club teams that most of them have 40, 50, 60 riders in them.
Sure.
The Community Capital Cycling Club has been around forever, and they're, one end of the culture that has been putting on events and putting on weekly rides. And Norte is these youth organizations are the things that are going to make sure there's cycling in these communities for years to come. I know Grand Rapids has the Dirt Dogs, and statewide we have MISCA. We have all of these sort of organizations in place that are getting kids on bikes. And I think we used to always look at these organizations as something that would get them on bikes, and then hopefully after they get out of middle school, high school, college team sports. Maybe they'll come back. But what's changed, I think, maybe in the last 5 to 10 years, is that we aren't losing the kids anymore. They're continuing to cycle through those kind of high school years that so many kids maybe in the past would have stepped away from. And now there's kids in Traverse City wearing Norte that have been with Norte since day one that are going into college and they're still riding bikes, which is really awesome. And I'm unfortunately in the position, fortunately and unfortunately, that kids that I started doing an after school bike program with when they were in 6th grade, now these kids are old enough that they're still riding bikes and now they're beating me. It's getting a little bit frustrating because I've got my back hurts, my hips hurt, and all the kids are beating me. I didn't think I was that old yet, but
that's funny. I can relate. The Dirt Dogs down here, we started sponsoring, and I'm a coach for the Dirt Dogs down here, and so I'm with 12 to 14-year-old, I think 10 to 14-year-olds, and so I've got I had about 8 to 10 kids on my team, and every once in a while I just had to make sure I could still keep them off if but they're close. There's a couple of them. I give them another year or two, and I'm gonna have to say, hey, good job. But it's so fun to watch. That younger community just come up, and we've been talking about that here locally. We've been talking about you guys up there, and that Dog Days of Summer. There's a summer race, and I saw some of you guys come down for that here in Grand Rapids at Cannonsburg, and maybe getting some more energy around that. And the next generation, it's not going to take long before they're passing all of us, and we need them to, this sport, I think, is, and it may be because I'm involved in it so heavily or not, but it seems like it's growing and growing. The trails are getting nicer and nicer, bigger and bigger, well cared for. I just realized I was looking down at this the whole time instead of over here, so it looked kind of funny on camera, I bet. But so it's exciting. It's exciting to watch unfold, and that was one of the little screenshots I had up there. That this kid here must be coming through either the snow cone or do you know which one that was?
Looks like slush.
Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, that's the next generation. It won't be long. We had Maddie, who was in the pro women's. She's off to college. She's just got out of high school. Now she's in college, racing for the college team, and I think she did pretty well in the women's pro class, like 14th or something. And these younger people are just pushing forward. Exciting.
Great to see.
For sure. This picture here just kind of, is a good kind of shows that, you've got the heavy duty racing, and then you've got just the person who's out there to for fitness and do their personal best. And, there's all levels out there, and every single one of them has the same size smile. It's not like you can't have fun if you don't, take this super seriously and it's your one race a year,
Yeah, absolutely. That was my brother's mother-in-law did the race a handful of years ago, and her sort of end of event recap was that was her thing. She was just amazed how it was everyone. It was just every sort of person was out there, and her goal was just to finish.
Yep.
But she also said there was people on the side of the trail stopped having a picnic. They had sandwiches out. She said there was one person that was stopping and sort of filming themselves and doing like a running documentary of their event. And she said it took a couple of situations like that where she kind of took a little bit of the stress away and took away a little bit of like that sort of anxiety of needing to set the world on fire, and she just started pedaling, having fun. So
that is awesome. Keep talking a minute. The light went out here for a second. Keep talking.
And that's something that we
also
hear. We do hear about feedback about course design and things like that, about making it harder or easier, or in the the biggest thing that we really try to do is make something that's accessible to that 80%. A lot of folks may have heard of the 80-20 rule, that
Sure.
if you look at 80%, that's most of the time when you look at information, when you look at feedback, most people fall within the 80%, and you can't limit yourself to planning around the 20. And in cycling or at Iceman, I kind of think of that as the top 10%, which is really the elite
Sure.
racers, the pros. We can't make a course that just suits them. I think it'd be really fun, but it wouldn't make sense. And then we also can't make a course for that, maybe less experienced or slower 10% either, because that would take away from the experience as well. So we want everyone to be able to get out there and just see what they can do. And if year one doesn't work out, hopefully the party is enough to bring you back.
Oh man, it's it does, and everybody that's been up there knows it. And if you haven't been up there, definitely get up there and check it out. Hey, why don't you send the pros through some of those, like the Traverse City Trail Fest course down there? Like so why don't you send the pros, add like 60 miles in?
I've thought of it, but one of the cool things I do really love about the race is that everybody's on the same course.
That's true. Yeah, I do
You're
like
on the same ground as everybody else, and I think there's something kind of unique and special about that. And that's, for me, that was why I always did the pro race. It wasn't because I thought I was a pro. I just always looked at it as, if Michael Jordan came to town and was playing 3-on-3 basketball, would you want to play against Michael Jordan?
Yeah.
Why not? Of course
Right.
you would. So it was just cool that whether you're on the same course or in the same race, it's really sort of level, a level playing field. Everybody gets a chance at the drag race. Maybe the only difference is other people are genetically superior or trained more.
Exactly. Yeah, the good point. That is the big draw to it. And, I explain that to everybody, friends, family, whoever's going to come up and spectate. I'm like, yeah, we do the course, in our best time. And then, 1 o'clock, whatever time you start, 1 or 2 o'clock, all of a sudden here comes the pros, and it's the same course. It's the same. And there is something to be said about that. So that is
Cool.
super
Yeah.
cool. So, well, thanks, Cody, for spending some time with us. And tell you what, maybe we'll catch up once or twice a year, see how things are going up there. Always like to hear what the latest is with the planning. And, forgot to ask you. Was wondering if we could move the Clydesdale class to Wave 1 next year and make it simple for me.
We'll work on that. I'll see what I can do.
All right. Appreciate it. Thanks for spending time with us. Have a good one.
Yeah, thanks, man.
All right. Have a good one. See ya.